Okay, so today we're going to talk about little German, little bit of German. You might like this segment of Nate's message to a principal. We're going to keep this going, everybody, because we know that the white folks in Jefferson Parish are never going to hold this principal accountable. Because every time a white woman cries, seems like the world stops spinning, right? They say the world spins at 1,000 miles an hour. But when a white woman cries, America, it's like it's motionless. But that's besides the point. The motion of the earth, that's besides the point. Today we're going to talk about German, right? We're going to speak about the gentleman up in Michigan who's responsible for releasing Nate of his duties as a sub teacher in the agency. We're going to talk about this person and a little bit of German as well. Now, the person that released Nate from his duties as a sub, his last name is Schwall. 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 Let's go ahead and put a picture of Mr. Schwall. There we go. That is a picture of Mr. Schwall, right? We're not going to say his first name, but that's him. So, me being a student of language, I try to pay attention and study as much language as possible because the English language is 30% German. You guys already knew that, right? I'm pretty sure you did. So, this German, I was thinking about this guy's name, Schwall. So I'm thinking he must be German, right? So I'm going to go ahead and speak, directly to him or about him, Mr. Schwall. And of course, Schwall, the SCH, that sounds little German. So he must have, or probably has, some German ancestry. Well, my dad served in the army in Germany. You guys remember the Berlin crisis? The communists divided Berlin, and the U.S. sent troops there, for over a decade. So my dad, Nathaniel Jones Sr., he was a soldier in the U.S. Army. Went to Germany. I'm pretty sure he met some wonderful people in Germany after World War II and the whole communist conflict. So here, Germany, has a pretty nice culture. But we're going to talk about one German, and we're going to talk about two Germans. The second one you'll find very intriguing. You probably know who he is. So Mr. Schwall right here that you see, he's German, and he's the one who released Nate of his duties at the agency of sub-teaching. Now, America, Mr. Schwall and Samantha, I'm pretty sure they knew that Karen at J.C. Ellis was lying about Nate. J.C. Ellis Elementary. So I offered them via email. I told them, take me out of Jefferson Parish and put me in Orleans Parish. That would have been a simple fix, right? I mean, if Jefferson Parish wants to be racist, let them continue to be racist. So I told Mr. Schwall, hey, I've already emailed Samantha. Go ahead and put me in Orleans Parish because that's where I was born, Orleans Parish. So Mr. Schwall decides to still release Nate, after Nate offers an alternative, right? In a time where there's a shortage of sub teachers, right? So I'm under the impression that Mr. Schwall is one of the dumbest Germans to ever exist. Well, I'm going to say second dumbest because you'll see number one in a few minutes, America. So, Mr. Swall, up near Detroit, Michigan, the one who pulled the trigger, he's not intelligent, everybody. And, you know, white folks, there are a lot of intelligent white folks, right? So I'm thinking, white folks, they have intelligence, they can calculate, but I don't think there's any compassion in certain white folks, right? I mean, white folks have continued to do this. If you see here on the screen, white folks year in, year out have continued to do this and not see the problems of other cultures. And that is not good. So Mr. Swall had his chance to help a former candidate who ran for mayor of New Orleans. I remember Nate Jones ran for Spanish people, Asian people, white people, and black people. Nate ran for everybody because Nate knew the government was infringing on people's Fourth Amendment right. You cannot force people to take a vaccine to keep their job, America. That is why Nate ran for mayor of New Orleans. So I have proof that I'm not a racist and I love all people. I'm willing to work with all people. But Mr. Swall here has got to be the dumbest German. I'm sorry. The second dumbest German in America. Because Mr. Swall knew this white woman was lying. Why would the white woman report an incident in this school year from something that happened the previous school year? I mean, America, if that's not evil, I don't know what is. I mean, America, an entire summer passed before an incident happens, right? I mean, if white folks see a black man walking in the neighborhood, how long would it take them to report that to the police? 1 second? 2 seconds? Okay, well, we'll say 1 minute, right? White folks see a minority walking in their neighborhood, it takes them 1 minute to report. Hey, we got a black man walking down the street in a neighborhood. That fast, y'all. So why did this Karen wait 4 or 5 months to report on something that never even happened, right? So it goes to show me that America is on the downfall, and Mr. Swall is one reason why America is on the downfall. And congratulations, Mr. Swall. You just created a big mess for yourself. This will be a huge turning point in American history because Nate Jones has experienced a huge injustice. It just shows that a lot of white folks still either cannot or will not give minorities a chance even when they're innocent. And that is very disturbing. And that is very bad for the future of white folks. Let's talk about Germany, y'all. Germany used to be 92% white in 2004. Mr. Swall. 92% white in 2004, early 2000s. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Germany is 80% white. It's not just Germany, everybody. It's a lot of white European countries that are. that are not producing babies. In order to have a civilization, my fellow Americans, you gotta have 2.1 babies per household. That's why in math you hear that equation, E equals 2.14, right? Or 2 point something, right? I remember that from math class, like E equals 2 point something, right? The natural growth of humans. You heard me? So Germany is not producing babies. 1.6 is the average in white European Western countries. That is horrible. But that is the state of Germany. And since we're talking about uh, German and Mr. Schwal, I thought I mentioned that because we're at a very, very important point in the history of the world, ladies and gentlemen. America is the greatest country to ever exist, but it's on the decline. Not just America, but Western civilization. So, hope Mr. Schwal understands the times we're living in and the magnitude of what he did, right? So, Mr. Schwal is probably the second dumbest white man in America, right? So, who is the first dumbest white man in America? Let's go ahead and put him on the screen real quick. Did you catch that, America? That person you saw in that fake assassination attempt? And yes, it was fake. I have proof. He's probably the first dumbest German in America, right? Did y'all know Trump was German? Oh, yeah. His grandfather was German, and his grandfather was an immigrant. Go figure. Who immigrated to America, and now we have the Trump family. So we'll cut Mr. Schwal some slack and call him the second dumbest German in America. Because with a name like Schwal, there's a 98% chance that he's German, right? And shame on Mr. Schwal for not even calling Nate Jones. I mean, Miss Savannah called Nate Jones with this incident or lack thereof. And Miss Savannah had the chance to be a good white woman. But because of Savannah, I don't know if I can trust white women, right? But let's get back to Mr. Schwal. At least Savannah called me, but Mr. Schwal, he's not a real man. You know what? I think that vaccine probably messed up Mr. Schwal's brain, but we're not going to go there. That's a different topic for a different day. So, Mr. Schwal, you ought to be ashamed of yourself of what you did to a former candidate of one of the greatest cities in America. Mr. Schwal, there would not be in America without New Orleans and Louisiana. And I hope you understand that. Nate Jones is one of the nicest guys from New Orleans. I mean, don't get it twisted. You know, I'm a son and a grandson of a soldier, and you know, Americans, you know, we can hold our own. Amen. But don't get it twisted. So Americans, this is where we're at. We still have this racism going on. It still exists. And I just showed you the picture of the movie that Sandra Bullock was in, right? And I respect Sandra Bullock because after Hurricane Katrina, when a lot of schools closed down in New Orleans for good, Sandra Bullock sponsored Nate Jones High School, Warren Easton. And thank you, Sandra Bullock. We appreciate it. We thank you so much. One of the greatest actresses in American history. Actresses. So that picture that we see Sandra Bullock in and the actors of that movie, that's white people. They are refusing to see the problems of other people. And that's not good. Somewhere down the line, somewhere you gotta have some compassion. But I don't think Mr. Schwal has any compassion. I mean, aren't white people like stoicism, logic and reason? I mean, I don't see any logic and reason in what Mr. Schwal did. I mean, of course, I posted these videos after Karen reported this. Mr. Schwal, I'm not going to let this slide. I mean, other young black men got to see this. Mr. Schwal, they need to see what kind of people are out there in American history today in these 2020s. We still got a problem with skin tone, right? But of course, Nate Jones was a great sub. His kids loved him, all grades. Always executed the lesson plans. I had no problems. And the Karen who called other Karens to lie on Nate, she's in a whole world of trouble. But Mr. Schwal, since we're still speaking on Germany, let's go ahead and show the Hitler pose that your colleague, Mr. Trump, made during the fake assassination. Let's go ahead and roll this, y'all. Let's go ahead and put it up. Did y'all see that? Well, in case you missed it, I'm going to go ahead and put it up one more time just to make sure that we see what kind of hand gesture. Pay attention, America. Let's see what kind of hand gesture Mr. President makes. Let's go ahead and roll the tape one more time. Oh, America, did you get that? That looks like a Hail Hitler pose to me. Oh my goodness. And we know we still got some Nazi-loving people in this country. In the midst of chaos, ladies and gentlemen, a German descendant, Donald Trump, in the middle of a supposed assassination, right after he said, "Let me get my shoes," poses like Adolf Hitler. Yes, probably the dumbest German in America right now. And of course, the second dumbest German is probably Mr. Schwal. Because Mr. Schwal has chosen the Bird Box effect. He covered his eyes, had no compassion when it came to Nate Jones. Well, Mr. Schwal, I won't be surprised if your ancestors were slave owners. And if they were, that ain't good because I feel sorry for your grandkids. All because Mr. Schwal chose not to call Mr. Jones. The principal didn't call Mr. Jones last year of any issue, and there was no issue, America. And now Mr. Schwal, who is probably he's probably a beta male. Let's call Mr. Schwal a beta male because he's not alpha. He is not alpha. An alpha male would have probably called Mr. Jones about any issue. Nonetheless, this is what we are, America. Mr. Schwal has made one of the biggest mistakes he's ever made in his life. And now he's going to have to deal with the consequences of his decision. Namely, not showing compassion for someone who has a different skin tone as he does.